Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, and we're going to talk as Dungeon Masters. This is a Dungeon Masters only video. It's just applicable to Dungeon Masters. The Repulse and Attract model, okay? I just recognized the Repulse and Attract model with Star Trek, okay? And by the way, you are almost certainly using a Repulse and Attract model. The only question is if you're aware of it. So Star Trek currently has a Repulse and Attract model for Star Trek, okay? It's really fascinating. So I just got Paramount Plus again. I've had Paramount Plus for 1 month. So I have Amazon Prime. I go over to Amazon Prime every now and then. And they have this service where, like, they're like, hey, do you want this channel? You can get this channel for 99 cents a month. So I got Amazon Prime for, I got Paramount Plus on my Amazon Prime account for 99 cents a month for 2 more months, right? Now, I am never going to pay $8 a month for Paramount Plus. It's just, there's not enough on there for me to be attracted to it, but I am very excited about it at 99 cents a month. And what they have is they have all of Star Trek, right? So let's talk about the Repulse and Attract model. So let's talk about Star Trek's new Repulse and Attract model. Repulse, right? They made Discovery. I'm convinced Discovery is a repulsion show, right? So basically, they got together, like, it's kind of Hollywood elites, and they were like, we have this Star Trek show. We have a whole bunch of trapped people. I'm one of these people. There are a whole bunch of people who will try Star Trek, and they will they will work their way through the content, even if it's bad, right? And so what we can do is we can make a show that no Star Trek fan would ever want to watch, and they'll watch it because they have to, because it has a Star Trek name on it, and we can get what we want, right? They want a good Star Trek show. We don't have to give that to them. The Star Trek name will keep them here, right? We can repulse them, and they'll still watch the show, right? And like, they could be completely, literally repulsed by the content, and we can still make the show. Now, why would a company want to do this? Well, it's message, right? It's Hollywood elites, right? They got it's a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate, right? We got a long list. It's 25 items long. And we want people to do these things or have goodwill toward these things. So this is going to be a message show. It's not really going to be a Star Trek. It's going to be a long list of things that we're going to tell them are good, and we're going to try to convince them through the content that these things are good. We're going to try to change their behavior through this content to the behavior we want, right? And now, okay, you're like, wait, you can't just make a show that's going to repulse people. Well, first of all, you absolutely can. A ton of people, you would not believe how many people hate watch stuff, right? Like, it's a thing, right? But then it is hard for your business model to be making content after content after content that's literally designed not to attract people, but to teach people and change behavior of people, right? Like, you're like, how can you make business like that? Well, one, you can do it when you're a multi-international conglomerate that, each product really doesn't even have a, did it make money, thing, right? They just work on a different level, right? So you have all that going on, and so basically, that is definitely a thing, and that is occurring, right? So let's talk about the attraction, right? So you have this attraction model where basically, so you've been repulsing people with your content, and now you attract them with your content. So what is the Star Trek attraction? Lower Decks is amazing. It's just Star Trek and Rick and Morty. Who's not going to love that? It's brilliant, right? It's Star Trek with comedy, Star Trek with animation. And by the way, Star Trek with animation is a brilliant idea because Star Trek needs a ton of CGI, but when you're doing animation, the CGI is the same as regular content, right? Whereas you go to live action, every time you put an alien on the screen, you're putting a ×2, ×3 cost on that content, where it's not the same with animation, right? And you can make these sci-fi shows, and they can look sci-fi with no extra cost, right? Now, the real attractor on Star Trek right now is Prodigy. It's an absolutely brilliant new show. It's really wonderful. It's better than anything I've seen in Star Trek for probably since TNG. It's amazing, right? It's attraction. It's specifically, it gets rid of a whole bunch of message content and just tells a Star Trek narrative, right? And it's brilliant and beautiful and wonderful, right? Now, you are using a repulse and an attract model as well. Here's where it gets interesting. You want to be aware when you're using a repulse and an attract model, right? And that, because I think sometimes we use repulse and attract models and aren't even aware of it. And get this, I think it's highly possible that when Star Trek Discovery was started, in, you know, and maybe season 1, season 2, they didn't even know it was a repulsion model, right? And I think you very well may be doing a repulsion model and not be aware of it. So you're like, wait, how's that work? You know, a repulsion model, but I'm not aware of it. Well, first of all, I became very aware of one of my repulsion models recently. I run a 2-hour game. I refuse to run 4-hour games, right? And it repulses my players. They hate it. They absolutely hate it, right? But I literally, you know, I never intend to play in a 4-hour game again. I think I strongly feel that 4-hour games are for people who are more set in a 1980s model. Right? I know that upsets some people. Sorry, it's just, I got these principles, I got these goals, and like, I'm also convinced that we will never grow this hobby with a 4-hour game. So basically, but that's my repulsion, right? And I'm like, oh, but then I need to put in these attractions. So what are the attractions for my game? So one, you know, I make sure we have a clean, well lit space with lots of electricity for anybody who has laptops, lots of drinks in the fridge, non-alcoholic, I'm a teetotaler, right? And then I work hard on my content every week, and I share the GM slot, right? The Dungeon Master slot, right? Which we are doing the Game Master slots now because we're running some non-5th edition, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition games. And so I attract people, right, with my game as well, right? So and so I use a repulsion and attraction model, just like Hollywood, right? And if you think closely about your game, you might have some repulsion items in yours as well, because you want certain things. So I think this is really fascinating. Think about your game. Do you have repulsion elements in your game? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So the first thing is, I'm not even telling you how to fix this. The first thing is I'm saying acknowledge it. I don't think if you had asked me 3 months ago if I used a repulsion attraction model, I think I would have said no. But now I realize I'm exactly like Paramount, and the answer is yes. And you might be there too. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.